Can you hear me?
I said it's just
yeah, you good.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, would you say Porsche? I'm sorry.
No, all good. Let's
All right.
get it going.
All right, that's right. What's good? What's good? What's good? You are tuning in Apartment 5B, hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me in effect as always. Ladies first. Porsche, what's going on?
How's it going, Kill?
Everything is dope. Staying with ladies first. First time shopping up with Apartment 5B. Elize, what's going on, miss?
What's good, Kill? How you doing?
Everything is good. Quick background for this. I don't know how. Somehow it comes across my timeline. This shorty is spitting, is dope. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I rock with this. We end up following each other, connecting, and just a dope MC, dope person. I salute Ed for the assist of getting on the show and everything like that. And we're gonna get into what you do too, but it's very, very dope. So just definitely want to salute you with that. You know what I mean? No doubt, no doubt. Eddie, you had the assist. So what's going on with you, good brother?
Yo, man, I'm good, man. Excited about the show. You know, Brooklyn. I mean, everyone knows like I'm in the West Coast now, but I grew up in Brooklyn. Vegas is probably a better tour guide. Because of when he grew up, he was probably in Brooklyn for much longer and all that. Yeah, no doubt. And with Elize, yeah, I mean, just someone dope. I felt like could come out and chop it up, and like you already said, dope MC. Like if you go bar for bar with Chris Rivers, I mean that says a lot.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. That's what it is. Peg, you the tour guide today. Brooklyn's finest. When I think of Brooklyn, you're one of the first people I think about. So couldn't do a show about Brooklyn without getting you on here. What's up with you, good brother?
Yeah, I would be highly upset. Brooklyn, what up? I'm gonna act real Brooklyn today. I'm just gonna let y'all know that.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. I got my brother Ralph from Philly. What's going on, good brother?
What's going on? What's going on? Pleasure to be here, bro.
No doubt, no doubt. You already know us. Let's get right into it. So today we're gonna be talking about our top 3 MCs from Brooklyn and why. Top 3 albums out of Brooklyn and why. One slept on MC, one slept on album. The dopest producer, and if Brooklyn had an anthem, what would that anthem be? I felt like we had to start with Brooklyn. For people who may know and not know, my peoples are from Fort Greene. Every summer from 1982 to 1989, I spent the entire summer in Brooklyn. It's by far my favorite borough. So many dope memories of the 80s in Brooklyn. Fort Greene Park, Beach Street Records, Albee Square Mall, all that great stuff, DeKalb Avenue. So it's always been like a second home for me. So I had to start in, the County of Kings. Porsche. As always, women first, ladies first. Who would be your top 3 MCs from Brooklyn? And why are they your top 3 MCs?
I feel like Brooklyn? This is the most predictable. And there's a reason why these names always come up when I speak, because I think they're the best. They're my favorite, but hella predictable. I apologize in advance. I got Big J and MC Lyte.
Okay.
And I tried. I thought, okay, you know what? Big is an obvious one, but I just couldn't. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night tonight if I didn't mention Big. So Big, for obvious reasons, I think his flow, his charisma, his presence on tracks, his featured verses, everything about Big is just, to me, top tier. Like, it just does not get better than Big. He's my number 1 MC. Jay, I mean, he is still going strong. Yeah, we know that because of all the arguments we get into with the stans who think he has 13 classic albums and 8 classic albums and this many classic albums. So Jay is an obvious one. And MC Lyte. I mean, anytime I can mention this woman, I will. She is a beast. I think she's just phenomenal with the bars. Light as a Rock is my favorite album of hers, and she just went crazy on it. And I think she is one that never had to over sexualize herself or be a different way to excel and to be known and to be good and to get respect and all that kind of stuff. So for me, those are my 3.
No doubt, no doubt. Those are very dope 3. One of the things, and we'll touch on this, I want to do a whole nother show on female MCs, but I think the wild part about the industry at that time was the dope part was that you didn't have to overly sexualize yourself. You know what I mean? That it was just based off of your skill. You know, when you think of the most over sexualized thing you could do is probably the push it video. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
no kidding.
that was probably the most freakiest you was gonna get was an all black bodysuit. Like, you know what I mean? And that was it. And you know, it's one of those things where I always say, like, in another world, I wish, you know, I would have loved to see what Kim and Foxy and some of these other I always hear about. They were so dope. You know, I hear this about Meg. People tell me, yo, you should have seen Meg spitting before the album, or, you know, you should have heard such and such before they got a hold of her in the industry and they had to market her like that. Like, you know, so I feel like, you know, that was the dope part about the 80s and the early 90s is it just was about bars. You know what I mean? I think if you saw somebody coming out half naked, I mean, we enjoyed Two Live Crew, you know what I mean? But I think it would almost be like, yo, why Shorty naked on stage like that? Like, you know what I mean? And now that's what we expect from our female MCs to come out half naked. And when you don't, it's almost like, what's wrong with Shorty? Like, it's literally the flip of what it would have been in the 80s and the 90s. But three dope picks. Elize, what's up with you? Who you got for your top 3 MCs from the borough?
Well, I'll say it'd be different for me simply because, you know, I'm only 26. So I had to learn this stuff versus actually living through each, you know,
Right.
MC coming out and seeing the impact they had in the moment. So for me, I'm gonna say Jean Grey, Biggie, and Busta Rhymes.
Okay. So you pulling the asterisks out on Busta. You pulling the asterisks out.
I mean, I've seen
Busta
a lot
from
of
Brooklyn, Kill. Stop it.
talk about.
Yo, here's like that. Yo, again, well, y'all know me. There ain't no wrong answers. I just always like to see where we pull from because, like, everybody has their thing. And me and Veg was talking about this earlier because Eddie hit me like, yo, what about Gangsta? I was like, yo, there ain't no right or wrong answers. But for me, when I think of Grell, and I don't know if this is how you was when you was in Philly, it was always about where'd you go to high school. You could have grew up in Philly from 1st grade to 8th grade, but if you went to high school in PG and tried to be like, I'm from Philly, the first thing out, where'd you go to high school?
They
and then you get the little stutter. Well, what happened was my mom had sent me. You know what I mean? But
they gave you hell for that.
Busta did go to high school in Brooklyn. So if we're going by those rules, then boom. What am I even talking about? Elize, I apologize. Keep going. I forgot Busta went to school with Jay and Big. So there you go. You good to go.
Okay. Word. For me, I guess Jean Grey. When I got introduced to her, I was just amazed by the way she put words together. Like, the bars is crazy. You know, I'm still deciphering some of her things to this day. Even like tracks like the joint Assassin she did with I believe that was Pharoah Monch and Royce the 5'9".
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. Number 8, probably my favorite track from her. I play that joint a lot.
She shined on that track with 2 killers too, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that impressed me with Jean the most was Prowler 2 off of Ski Beat's 24-Hour Karate School because it's her, Jay Electronica, Joel Ortiz, and Mos Def. And we talking about Exhibit C, Jay Electronica. And she set it off, and she probably got my favorite verse.
She got
on it. So to say you got my favorite verse with Exhibit C, Jay Elect, with Joel and Mos Def, or rapping Mos Def, this nigga ain't singing, like that says a lot. So Jean is a dope pick. Very dope pick.
Yeah, for sure. Biggie, like Porsche said, it goes without saying. Like, he's established himself at such an early age, and for him to be taken out so early and to still be talked about with such magnitude is impressive. I mean, even when he went commercial, it didn't feel commercial. Like, everything he's done, like even down to like More Money, More Problems and Hypnotize and stuff like that, it was true to Big. So I never saw it as him selling out or him being like, you know, trying to be, because he always made sure it stayed true to who he was, regardless of what Puff wanted. So I don't look at those like, he, you know, kind of like the Lox's first album verse, you know, and I love the Lox, but that was obviously not their lane. But Big made it work for him. So, you know, anybody that can do that and remain relevant, it's, you know, you can't say nothing about it.
Right.
And for me, Busta, I just always loved his his dynamics, like the character, the flow. His beat selection is crazy. Like even I would say even from the Coming all the way up to the Big Bang, I was just like, yo, what's going on? Even the joints, people weren't really checking for listening to. Like even on It Ain't Safe No More, he had these crazy joints from Dilla. Even Genesis album, I was just like, yo, ain't nobody talking about this. I mean,
Right.
I know people say Busta ain't got a classic album. I hear that all the time, but I love all those albums.
Yeah.
The thing with Busta is I feel like he always had joints. It's just the problem is like his albums were so bloated, had so many tracks that when you got tracks you could skip, people were like that's not a classic. But
True.
you'd be hard pressed. I mean, you're gonna find a lot of joints in Busta albums that's gonna go hard. For sure.
For sure.
No
But
doubt,
that makes
no
sense
doubt.
too.
No
With
doubt.
the
All right,
filler.
dope three picks. Vague, Brooklyn. What you got, man?
I mean, mine's are quite obvious. If you're from Brooklyn, you already know. Big, Jay-Z, and Big Daddy Kane. Big for obvious reasons. I mean, he's the only reason why people even mention the phrase King of New York, because he was that. Nobody ain't place him there. He ain't have to place himself there. He was just hitting on all cylinders. And I like what was just said about him, even on the commercial side. I think what Big did that was different from a lot of other rappers besides maybe like Jay-Z is he may have had those beats that are more commercial, more mainstream, or radio friendly, but his lyrics remain the same for the most part. They still, like you said, was true to him. A lot of times there was some bars in some of them party records as well. So I think he was kind of like helped to pioneer that part of it, of having a beat that just really he shouldn't even be on, because he's a dude that made Who Shot You a Warning, but he's still able to pull it off and to do it on different levels, from records like One More Chance remix, and to go to something like Everyday Struggle and then do Warning and Give Me the Loot, and just the versatility of Big and the storytelling of him being like one of the greatest storytellers of all time. Also, like not only having serious stories, but also having a little humor. And he was just dope at almost everything he did, man. He was kind of like a Swiss Army knife with it. Obviously, as we eventually saw when he performed with or did the record with Bone Thugs and Harmony, which nobody saw coming, especially that flow from Big. So he's definitely one of the, if not the greatest out of BK. Jay-Z for a lot of the same reasons, especially longevity, especially picking up the mantle from Big and taking it to another level. Lyrically, even his own lyrics, I know, he got a little history of having a couple lines that belong to people, but Jay got mad bars that belong to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like short sleeves are bare arms. When I first heard that, I was like, yo, what that nigga say? This shit's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Small lines like that. His cadence, you know what I'm saying? The way he was like conversational. And he always, like, when I listened to Reasonable Doubt, which is my favorite album from him, he always was like, he knew where he wanted to be. You listen to Reasonable Doubt in 2020, you look at who Jay-Z is now, he already was talking about it. While you thumb through the source, I read the Rob Report. Like, he was already goal-oriented. So when you go back and listen to an album like Reasonable Doubt, it's like, damn, he always wanted to be in that space, and now he's actually there. But he's still the same dude, as evidenced by his performance on Jay Electronica's joint, Written Testimony. And Kane, because Kane was he was our Rakim, you know what I'm saying? Lyrical spitter, wordplay. I know a lot of people just look at, oh, well, he just had 2 albums, then he fell completely off. But people don't understand. You first of all, you got 2 classics, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying, out the gate. Then you've been rocking, like Kill always said, you've been rocking for much earlier than that because of singles that, you could ride off a single for like 6 months to a year before we actually hear the album. Kane was also revolutionary in a lot of ways, like Rakim was. Kane's style to me, Father Jay-Z style. You know what I'm saying? Same kind of wordplay, kind of more of a fast spitter. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, those are my three, man. I couldn't even do this without it being those three, because those are the three top three Brooklyn cats I look up to as far as MCs. So.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. Rel, who you got for your three, brother?
So I did 5 by mistake, but I do the top 3. And it's kind of redundant. Jay-Z, Big, and Kane. For all the same reasons everybody else said, to be honest with you. Big, man, Big was special, man. He probably was one of the most versatile MCs. Like they were saying earlier, even over something that's considered commercial, it never seemed like it was some forced commercial stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was always legit, and he always had bars in there. Jay-Z kind of carried on after Big left. He got some classic albums. I'm not like the biggest huge Jay-Z fan, but you gotta respect him. And then Kane, I was a young boy when Kane was really out, and my older cousins kind of put me on to him, man. Like he was that dude. Like I really didn't even listen to lyrics when I was younger. And like he was one of the first dudes I kind of listened to their flow and their lyrics. He was amazing. I think he did birth kind of some of Jay-Z's flow and image. So that's my top 3.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. For me, I mean, I think if you're of a certain age, if you're over 40, maybe 42, I feel like your answer's got to be Big, Jay, and Kane. You know what I mean? So that's the crazy thing. Ed, I didn't go to you, right?
No.
I'm bugging. Ed, you go first. I'm gonna go last on this. Been a
Um,
long day in the
yeah,
hood,
man.
y'all.
It's all good, man. Yeah, man, it's gonna sound redundant, like we just said, but Biggie, Kane, and Jay, and I echo a lot of what Rel said, because I'm not the biggest Jay-Z fan, but it's undeniable what he's accomplished, what he means to Brooklyn, who he's influenced, even outside of Brooklyn, and I don't think there's another Brooklyn MC who has more classic albums than Jay-Z. And the number of classics, I mean, that's debatable, but he got at least three that are in stone. Yeah, that's for Jay. Biggie will be on top for me. Like Hill said, or I can't remember if it was Killer Vegas who said it, but they created a King of New York mantra for Biggie, and Biggie just ruled hip hop basically when he dropped. When Ready to Die. I mean, he had the clubs, he had the ladies, he had the dudes. I mean, he could get grimy and lyrical. He could go more laid back, and I think there was another show we did regarding Biggie where I remember someone said that Biggie does more with less. And I'm not sure if there was anyone before him who took that approach to emceeing. But he doesn't cram a whole lot of words, but he's still able to paint a picture. He's still got those bars that make you think. And then Big Daddy Kane, I mean, he's just the Brooklyn OG. Like Vegas said, he was right there with Rakim. I think anytime you're in that conversation, top 1 or 2, just like Jay-Z and Nas were 1 and 2. Rakim and Kane at that time were 1 and 2. So I mean that means a lot. And I mean just the spit in the bars. I mean he's influenced like MCs like Black Thought. You know, just the way he tears it up. So I mean those are my 3.
All right, no doubt. Got the same 3. Not gonna belabor it. Was on Twitter earlier this week talking with somebody. I forgot what started the conversation, but he was like, "Yo, Kill." I think we talking about record labels. He was like, "Well, how come DMX blew up and the Locks didn't? And they from the same hood and they from the same clique?" And I was like, "Because DMX has it and the Locks don't. It literally is that simple." You know what I mean? Like some people just have it, and to me, Big had it. Big sounded great over everything. Big could have made an album just rhyming over breakbeats. I mean, Dreams. This is just him over, breakbeats, and I hear it all the time. He only had 2 albums, but the moral story is Big was everywhere. You know what I mean? When people go that route, I'm like, see, you wasn't there. You don't know about the mixtapes. You don't even know. I know people who swear they Big fans and never heard of Dreams. I'm like, then you ain't no Big fan. You know what I mean? How you never heard of Party and Bullshit, but you a Big fan? Like, nah. You know what I mean? So Big just had it. You know what I mean? I think Heavy did it to an extent because Heavy D could do it too, and I want to give Hev his props. Hev was one of those people who could do you an R&B joint and turn around and give you "You Can't See What I Can See." He could give you something smooth and then turn around and give you something else. I don't know why we look at Big more. I don't want to get into nothing. I don't want to get into a whole issue because I pissed off some light skinned folk when I said this. So I don't want to go down that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole tonight.
It's because of Puffy. That's why
What's that?
Puffy's just. He was out there. He was the one who kind of put. I feel like Puffy is the reason why Big was so commercial and so in everyone's face all the time. Like Hev didn't have a Puffy with him, So,
but I mean, but he had Andre. Like I mean, what I'm just saying because they both come from the same tree with Andre Harrell and Puff. You know what I mean? Right. So I just think for some reason, and again, fuck it, I'll piss off people. I think people don't believe light-skinned people can be hard. So I think it was just harder for people. I'm Vegas is laughing. I'm dead ass, man. I apologize. Maybe it was just Philly. If 8 light-skinned dudes rolled up on me, I was not shivering in my, I was not at Broad Alley like, oh shit, I'm about to get got. 8 dark-skinned ugly niggas roll up on me, I'm like, I'm about to die today. So, maybe that's just Philly, maybe in other hoods. But because to me, Hev was able to do the same thing as Big. So I agree with you, Porsche, that we're also in another era too of radio records and things like that. But we give Big the credit for it. But I just always want to salute Hev because Hev was actually doing it first. And I almost want to say
100% agree. I 100%
Puff kind of took some of that from it and then kind of made Big do it. But I think Big was the blueprint for that era of hip hop that was coming out 94 plus. What's up, Vic?
Well, I'll say this. I think the difference between them, I think Hev was able to do both, but I never really looked at Heavy D as doing both. I just looked at it. Heavy D, that's how he rhymed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If the beat is "Girls They Love Me," he do that, but he didn't really change his style that much. You know what I'm saying? On either record, just the beat was different. With Big, when he did hard records, them shits was hard. He sound like, you know what I'm saying? He was rhyming different than he was rhyming on a Juicy or whatever. Shit, not even Juicy. I guess like a One More Chance or a song like that. So I think it's more
Big Papa.
Big being so in the hardcore lane when he did hardcore records.
Right.
You would never think a guy like that can go all the way back the other way. Whereas Hev can just, I don't know, he kind of floats seamlessly through any beat. You know
and true, and Hev's records weren't "I'm gonna shoot you, I'm gonna kill you, C4 to the door."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They were over harder beats. They just weren't, I'm gonna kill you, basically, when I see you. So to me, Big just had it, and to me, he just made the blueprint that everybody followed. Jay followed it. Everybody, Nas, everybody tried to do a radio record. The second you hear Juicy, you be like, oh, then you hear Warning. You like, oh, all's forgiven, and then you hear One More Chance. You're like, oh, then you hear Who Shot You? All is forgiven. Like Big, even with One More Chance, they had the Barge remix, then they still had the hip hop remix, So Big just was able to do all that. Jay is Jay. Again, just the longevity. And I think Jay is just one of those MCs that he rhymes to his competition. Wasn't a great big fan of 444, but what he did for Jay Leck, I felt like it was like, yo, I'm on this record with people who are saying is the next savior of hip hop. I got to bring them bars into me. That's why I love that album so much, is more so because of Jay-Z and what he did on that joint. So you got to give Jay that. And then Kane, I mean, like Veg said, I mean, people talk about the 2 classic albums, but like I said, if you're my age and you understand the 12-inch era, you understand that in pre-88, your 12-inch was your album. You know what I mean? So Kane's Raw 12-inch, that was like an album to us. You know what I mean? Kane set it off, that was like an album to us. You know what I mean? So even though it was only those records, and then even people never talk about with this joint, the second album, he left Marley. Marley only did 1 joint on here. And to me, this is still a classic. So you seldomly will get an MC that's going to be able to leave an MC of Marley Marl stature in 89 and still come out with a classic album. So definitely those 3. This is the part that I'm interested about. Your 1 slept on, maybe 2 MCs out of Brooklyn that somebody is going to be like, damn, I almost forgot about them. Or, that you just feel that they slept on. Porsche, who is one of your slept on MCs out of Brooklyn?
Sticky. Like,
Sticky's from Brooklyn? Am I missing a New York City Transit map here?
He's from Brooklyn.
Like, I swore Sticky isn't from Queens?
Nope.
Yeah, no, Brooklyn.
This is why I love Apartment 5B, because I learned shit. I had no idea Sticky was from Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think Sticky is hella slept on. I want to say slept on in that when he's brought up, everyone's like, "Oh, Sticky's dope," and I love this, and I love, and it's like there's conversations to be had. But in normal everyday dialogue, like we don't really bring up Sticky ever, really, unless it's highlighting an album, which I'm going to mention as one of my slept on favorites. But yeah, I think the energy's there. I conceptually, he's brilliant. When we consider his album, yeah, I mean, he's just such a personality, and I just think that he needs to get way more recognition than he does. He is very, very good at what he does. And yes, he followed Prince Paul's Prince of Thieves album, but he did it well and he executed in his own way. I loved it. So mine is without a doubt Sticky.
All right. No doubt. Elize, what you got?
I'm not sure if he qualifies as slept on or if he was put exactly where he needs to be. But J. Rue the Damager, I don't know how y'all would perceive that, but I mean, they talk, I hear talk here and there, but I feel like, at the time he was talking that talk just as good as anybody else was. But I guess there was a lot of music coming out, and when The Sun Rises in the East dropped in '94, you already had Illmatic out, and I don't know if Ready to Die had already came out, was coming out, There's a Dark Side. So it was a lot to compete with at the time too. I don't know if that played a part, but I feel like, I mean, he gets talked about here and there, mainly like with like Primo's production and whatnot, but I don't think, he gets the just due.
Nah, I agree with you. And J. Rue almost made my list. He was like one of the first people I thought of, because you're right, there was a lot of music out. I think a lot more people know Come Clean. You know what I mean? Like, right. He's known for that and everything like that. But you're right. I don't hear The Sun Rises in the East talked about. I don't hear Rap for My Math. And then I think, once he stopped dealing with Primo, he kind of like faded into hip hop obscurity. So I think that also did it too. But nah, you 100% right. Yo, when the Frustrated Nigga came out, I want to say, I forgot what soundtrack that was off, but yo, J. Rue was spitting. He was, and not just spitting, but also spitting at like knowledge too. You know what I'm saying? Like at a time when it wasn't popular. And I think that's another reason why he didn't really, do that. I know a lot of people look at Rap for My Math as a hate album. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of people look at Daylight Stakes as high, like, oh, them niggas was hating, so I think that kind of played a part in it too, of, everything like that. But nah, I agree with you 100% on J. Rue. Eddie, who you got? Oh, I'm sorry. You still saying something?
Oh, I was just going to say in light of, like, you bringing up Stakes is High, I mean, it still applies today. That whole track, like, it's still
Yeah,
going on. Like, you thought it
yeah,
was nothing back then, but it's booming now. So
yeah.
definitely.
I always say
Mhm.
98 was like that split in hip hop where, it was like a civil war. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
was us against them. It was the backpackers against the club goers. You know what I mean? Like the Roots was
Yeah.
coming out with what they do. They had stakes as high. It was like what you drew your line in the sand, and it was like
Yeah.
whose side was you on? I know a lot of hip hoppers
Right.
was like, yo, I never listened to that Mace Puffy shit, and I know a lot of hip hoppers that were like, yo, I ain't listening to that J. Rue De La shit. Like it was really a line drawn in the sand on who, and it was like, yo, whose side are you standing on? You know what I mean? So
Right.
I
And
definitely
then the
think
South
that
was
played a
booming
part.
too with No Limit and, Cash Money Records. That created a whole nother paradigm shift.
Right, right. No
And
doubt, no doubt.
I feel like even Tribe's last the album, the Love Movement, just looking at the track list and then some of the features they had, like they had Noriega, who was booming at the time. I think, was it Melvin Flint album was out, or
Yeah,
stuff like that. I guess they was trying to push and work with people that was popping at the time too. So I found that kind of awkward, as I
yeah.
listened to that last album. I like that album a lot though, but just some of the feature choices were questionable at best.
Nah, I feel you. I feel you. Eddie, who you got for your slept on MC?
All right, I got two. So first one I'm gonna say Jean Grey, and she gets talked about with female MCs, but I feel like she slept on because I feel like she's a dope MC. Period, and she's the type of MC that you put her on you put her on a track with anyone, and someone's gonna get worried, like they may get got. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like an MC of that caliber, and if you listen to her albums, like if you listen to This Week, if you listen to the Genius album with Ninth Wonder, um, she wasn't just spitting, like she was telling stories, like she had content, she had depth. So I think she's very, very slept on from that aspect. And my next slept on is Rockness Monster from um
Helter
Helter
Skelter.
yeah,
Skelter.
from Helter Skelter. Yeah, I just had a brain fart real quick. Yeah. Because if you were around when Helter Skelter dropped, Rockness was that dude. And it just so happened that Sean Price, wound up blowing up once he went solo. Um, but Rockness was really that dude. I mean, he was like one of the dopest out of the whole boot camp clique. I mean, he had the voice, he had the bars, he had the charisma. Um, he really had it all. I mean, you even listen to his freestyles, like his radio freestyles, like Kills Him, Barring Up. Very, very dope and slept on Brooklyn MC. Even that the AP, the Rockness AP album that he dropped, I want to say 2 years ago now. Very dope album. Didn't hear a lot of people talking about it, so he deserves more.
Yeah, no doubt. Rock definitely slept on. I remember Vega. I don't know if he was at Morgan yet. Boot camp was down there for I Love Morgan Day, and at the time it was only Black Moon and Smith and Wesson were kind of known. And Rock came out and just started rhyming, and it was like it was all good. You heard that voice, and it was just like, yo, this dude is dope. This dude is dope. Veg, who you got for your slept on?
I got two. One, I'm gonna go a little old school and say Chubb Rock. I think Chubb Rock name don't even get brought up at all. You know what I'm saying? As far as even just being a rapper back then who had a ton of hits, who had bars, who had some dope albums. I believe like his first two albums are probably his best, and then it gets a little shaky after that. But Chubb Rock had joints, and he kind of, in some ways, was similar to Biggie and Hev, where he could do a straight up party jam type joint, and then when it was time to get bar heavy and be lyrical, he could do that also. So I just think he's a name that just never gets brought up for the songs he's had, especially some of the hits he's had. back in the late '80s or early '90s on his albums, like Treat 'Em Right and Just Two of Us. You know what I'm saying? The Popeye Tunes joint. I forget what the real name is of that record. With him and Hitman Howie T doing the joint. So definitely, Chubb Rock is definitely a slept on one. Another one that I feel is slept on, but I don't feel he's slept on as far as popularity or people knowing who he is, or even having hit records. But I think he's slept on for bars because a lot of times, some people do, obviously, but a lot of times, most people don't really think about him when they think of bars, and he got so many examples, and that's Fabulous. You know what I'm saying? Fabulous is from Brooklyn. Those Clue mixtapes, forget about it. If you heard any of Fab's freestyles from back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you already know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Fab was a crazy dude on the mixtape circuit. His albums didn't always pan out, but he always had bars, and every now and again he'd be on somebody's album and remind you because he wasn't doing a single. One more recent example is the Freddie versus Jason joint.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows Jadakiss is known for bars, but on that joint,
yeah,
it's Fab, because Fab, he must have known, like, if I'm doing a project with Jadakiss,
right.
I gotta come with it. And from the first track, I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, I didn't even expect it. I knew Fab was nice, obviously, but on the first track, I was like, damn,
Yeah, you went
Fabulous
in.
ain't fucking around. He like,
Yo, when that nigga said something, was it a fifth? Something couldn't tell though. Must have been
Hoodie Mellow.
Mellow. I was like, yeah, this.
Yeah, he was in
Right.
his bag.
Yeah,
He was in
Fabulous
his
is
bag.
nasty. And I think that's kind of the thing sometimes. Like, even with me, if I'm bringing up, spitters or whatever, sometimes, after the conversation, I'm like, damn, I never say Fabulous. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we all just kind of look at his commercial success in that lane, knowing damn well when he made the Soul tape,
Right.
that was another example. You know what I'm saying? The whole series. So Chubb Rock and Fabulous kind of slept on out of PK to me.
I think the hard part with that, and I still want to do a show on this, I never understood why labels in 2000 were signing these street MCs just to make them go pop. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, because that's Fab, because to me, those mixtape circuits are so regional. You know what I mean? So I remember all my Brooklyn niggas telling me about, yo, Fab Sport, yo, he gonna be nice. And then I hear the Superman joint. I'm like, this nigga stuttering? This the nigga y'all been fucking telling me about? You know? But then it was the flip for Cassidy, because I've been telling niggas all about Cassidy. Yo, my young boy, nice. Then they came out with Hotel, niggas looking at me like, and this the nigga you was fucking telling us about? So I don't know why they like the industry was like, yo, let's find the dopest MCs with the dopest bars and then make them do radio songs. Like,
well,
I have no idea.
I mean, I could tell you why. I mean, Mace, because Mace is nice.
Yep.
And he was Murder Mace.
But the wild part is, but why not just find a subpar MC then? Because you only want him to make songs that are subpar as far as lyrics. So why go find this great lyricist just to dumb him down? It has to be another rapper in Brooklyn who is already dumbed down. Who like we don't, like it's like something, because like we're literally like you said, them Clue tapes. If I could, people don't know Cass is my young boy. The nigga grew up on my block. I look out my mom's house, I see his mom's house. If I could tell you some of the battles, niggas used to come from all over Philly to my block to battle this dude. And then you hear Hotel, it's just like, I can't even hear it. When I heard Hotel, I'm like, who wrote this? Because you couldn't have wrote this, because this is just too dumbed down, like from what I know you can do. So I just would think, would you say?
I think it's a difference though, because Mace is just more marketable for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he may have been spitting, but everybody ain't know that. So if you introduce him to the world like this, and he's a little bit more marketable. Like, when I saw Cassidy, obviously I already knew he could spit, especially because of the freeway battle thing. But even when he was on Hotel, Cassidy sounds like a battle rapper on a mainstream record. You know what I'm saying? Like, You ain't going
Right.
to a hotel, nigga. You gonna go write some rhymes in your room. Stop it. But Mace seemed he kind of fit that mold of being able to switch it like that. But we just never really got much of the Murder Mace
because
until at least
Puffy
him
got a
and
hold of
Cam
him. You
started
guys, let's
banging.
call it what it is. Puffy got a hold of him at the time when shiny suits and shiny suit era was in, and he pretty much
And he made him
sold him
rich.
the what?
Well, I don't know if he made him rich because now, according to Mace, he don't
Well,
own nothing.
yeah,
So
this is what I'm saying.
Well,
No,
it
what I was
depends
going
on
to
what
say
you do
was
with your money.
no, but I was going to say Puffy sold him the dream of being rich. So he was like, okay, what do I got to do? And that's what happened. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Puffy is the reason why these things happen to dope MCs.
I mean, I think it's Puff is a part, but it's the whole system. You know, it's the whole system because Puff didn't sign Cass, Puff didn't sign Fab. It's the whole system
That's
of
true. That's true.
as
But I'm
as a
yeah.
thing as a label. My job is to sell records, and I think this is the part in that we all forget about. That the goal of this is to sell records. This is how you keep. And again, in '94, when I'm a kid, it's like, nah, don't sell out, don't do that, don't do this. At 46, with a kid about to go to college, nigga, do what you got. If you're not selling drugs, nigga, do what you got to do to send your kid.
Right.
Talk heavy. Talk heavy.
It shifts when you're young and you're like, oh, why you selling out? But I think the wild part, Vig, to what you were saying about Fab, I don't think most people talk about him because, to be honest with you, I didn't know about Murder Mace. The first time I heard Mace was with Puff. So again, if you're not part of that regional place to understand it, or if the first time you heard Cassidy, you're not mentioning Cassidy got bars. If that's the first time you heard was Hotel and Gets No Better with Mashonda, you ain't gonna be like, oh yeah, Cass got heat. You know what I mean? So you either got your ear to the street really, really serious, or if you're just a casual listener, you kind of like, you know, you don't know. Elize, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I like to add, I think on top of, you know, like you're saying, the point is to sell records. They're also targeting people that, you know, they struggling to survive. Like they're doing this, their dream is to get out the hood, you know, out the streets. So it's like when you put money in front of them, they're gonna do what they need to do because that's what they've been doing anyway. Because I guarantee you, a lot of them don't want to sell drugs or gangbang or do whatever they need to do. But that was survival back then, especially you talking in 80s, 90s, New York City, like it was ruthless. So, you know, by all means, if you're gonna get me out the hood and let me and my family eat, by all means, I'm gonna put this suit on and shake my ass a little bit and show you something, you know.
Facts.
Yeah, we gonna say that.
And one other thing to add on to that is that's been happening in the record industry for a long time. There's dudes in the 50s who could sing their ass off coming straight out the church, but they have to make this style record because this is what's popular. You know what I'm saying? When you know Sam Cooke can sing better than that. You know what I'm saying? Even though he got to do those things. You look at Marvin Gaye when he was first with Motown, the type of records he made versus later when he could really dig in and make the records he wanted to make. So it's part of the industry, but
and that's what I was gonna say. I mean, in no way, Puff owns it, but like you said, the industry owns it. You know,
listen, I don't think it's just Puff. Let's be clear. Like, I know how corrupt and ridiculous the record industry's been since the beginning of time in music. I'm just saying when we're talking about Mace specifically,
Mace specifically,
like Puffy got a hold of him is what I meant. I just want to clarify before people bombard my Twitter and tell me that Puffy's not to blame, because we all know what Kill started for a week straight off of Puff.
But I think Elize makes a great point, because you may already be doing something you don't want to do anyway. So as the single mom, you're trying to keep your son away from the local drug dealers to make him do something he doesn't want to do, but he feels like he has to do to survive. So if it's like I can sell drugs or I can make songs about girls and get ass too, like, I mean, like she said, I'll put on this shiny suit and get in the video and make this money. You know what I'm saying? So But yeah, Vague, the funny part about that is me and they were playing each other music, and I was playing her the Ozzy Brothers, This Old Heart of Mine, and she was looking at the iTunes and she was like, Daddy, I thought this was the Ozzy Brothers. I said, yeah. She said, well, why is there a white guy and a white girl on the beach with a beach ball on the album cover? And I said, you remember in the 5 Heartbeats when they got pissed at what the album cover was with the 4 white guys on the cover instead of them? I'm like, this is that crossover appeal. You know what I mean? And like, this is it. This is what the labels, are gonna do. Because I'm like, the Ozzy Brothers is 8 niggas. So there's no way there should be no 2 white people on the beach with a beach ball on their album cover. So part of the game. Rel, who do you have for one of your slept on?
Okay, I have 2. First one's OC. OC slept on like.
Bro, can I pause you for 1 sec?
Go ahead.
Vegas, I need you or Portia, whoever, to put together a rapper map where you all from. Because I only knew OC was from Brooklyn, from the Brooklyn Dodgers. But I remember when that came out, all my Queens niggas was like, the fuck, this nigga be in the Queens Club, at the Q Club all the time screaming Queens. Like, when this nigga from Brooklyn? So I need a map of who's from where. Because I do know OC is from Brooklyn, but prior to Crooklyn Dodgers, I thought he was from Queens, because he lived across the street when I had Poe on the show. Prince Poe was like, OC lived across the street from me and Mach. That's how he got on Fudge Pudge. So I'm just confused as hell where anybody's from at this point anymore. I'm just doing a fucking whole New York City show and everything. But back to OC, I apologize.
Yeah. Jules, that album is like flawless to me. Like, I don't skip nothing on there. Like, a lot of people talk about his first album, which was really good as well. But Jules is, I don't skip nothing on there. And even like a little more recent, he had the album with Apollo Brown, and it was really good. Like, it was really good. It didn't sound like, dated. It was really good. It was a good album. I think I really like OC. And my other one is somebody that I liked a lot, that a lot of my friends didn't like. But I thought he had like an it factor. And unfortunately he passed before he really didn't have a lot of material, but that was Half a Mill. I really liked Half a Mill on the Firm albums, on the AZ albums, his album. That song he had on the Belly soundtrack, Some Niggas. That song is that song is crazy. And I really like Half a Mill. I thought he had it was something different about him, something unique. Nobody rapped like how he rapped. He was kind of off beat, on beat, like he was, but he had his own style, and it was believable. And I thought, he had some potential. He just didn't really get out there like that. But I really liked Half a Mill. Those are my 2.
All right, no doubt. For me, I'm in a vague lane with somebody else who came out the Hitman Howie T camp, Special Ed. I don't feel like Ed gets, mentioned enough. For me, 2 classic albums back to back, Youngest in Charge, Legal. I don't know anybody who doesn't start bobbing their head when I'm the Magnificent comes on, or even think about it, or how am I forgetting his first song, y'all?
I Got It Made.
I Got It Made. This is 46. Everybody who is younger, protect your brain, because your memory is not going to be the same at 46. I Got It Made. Even with Legal, Come On, Let's Move It, all those dope things. I thought Ed was extremely dope, but extremely slept on. And the other rapper I had, just the album that came out wasn't the album it was supposed to be, and that's Source Money. Source Money to me is one of the nastiest MCs. My OG, a kid called Roots, who was doing strictly hip hop before I Got It, produced the whole album for Source Money. Let Me Hear It. The album was bananas. Let Me Hear It, like back in '97. And it just got shelved. It never came out. But for everybody out there who knows how nasty Source Money is, the album you were expecting, that was this album. And I don't know. There's just so much hip hop that got shelved that we just never got. And it's the hip hop we wanted. It's that boom bap hip hop. And that's when that line got put in the sand that I was talking about. A lot of this shit got shelved because labels was like, this shit ain't gonna sell. You know what I mean? So a lot of hip hop that we loved and we wanted from artists got shelved somewhere in a vault somewhere. And we just never heard. I know Trey Lee just released his album Live from the 215 that got shelved. you know, with a young Kanye before Ye was popping, and you know the album got shelved, and you know he just kind of was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna put it out there." You know, it is what it is. But yeah. All right. So tell me this: dopest producer out of Brooklyn. Porsche, who you got for the dopest producer, or your favorite producer? Your favorite producer out of BK.
Okay, I know I'm not going to say DJ Premier because he's like.
You can say whatever you want.
No, I'm not going to say DJ Premier, but I'm going to say somebody who I also think is slept on, Easy Mo B. I don't think we talk about. I don't think we talk about him enough. This man is responsible for Ready to Die, like pretty much, you know. And that's one of the dopest albums ever. Except for that freaking interlude that I can't stand, but it is. I love the way that he just puts albums together. He knows exactly how to deliver classic joints. He puts albums together well in terms of cohesion with beats. He's still on IG, going live, you know, mixing, doing all of these things, and he's just such a gem. And we do not, I just feel like he's slept on as well as he's like one of the best. So I'm definitely going with Easy Mo B, and I think that we just need to give him all his flowers forever and ever because he has so much under his belt and in his arsenal that it's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. He's like a Q-tip almost, you know. You just learn how much he's done and where he has his hands, and you're just like, oh my goodness, like this man is responsible for a lot of stuff that we like, you know.
Right. No doubt. I agree. Elize, who you got for yours?
I actually had the same person, Easy Mo B. Like she said, he's responsible for Ready to Die. He gave Busta some joints. Everything Remains Raw. You can't not like wild out when you hear that. You know, joints he did with Tupac, Lost Boys. You know,
this is what I'm saying.
And just, you know, just the fact that he did a whole album with Miles Davis alone, like before he passed, and finished it after the passing, and that joint still knocks. I'm like, we need to, like she said, we need to get that man his praise because he's definitely put in the work and continues to do so.
No doubt. Eddie, who you got?
Yo, I got the Beat Miners, Evil D and Mr. Waltz, man. You know, I'm there too, but man, like they architected the whole sound of the boot camp. You know, they essentially did what RZA did with Wu-Tang. But I mean that whole camp, I mean, from Black Moon Enter the Stage to Smith and Wesson, the Shining, the OGC album. I don't think they were on the Helter Skelter stuff as much. Definitely not the second Helter Skelter album, but you know, even their outside production, what they did, I mean, they're just so incredibly dope. I mean, when I think of that 90s boom bap, you know, Brooklyn sound, and you know, when we say Brooklyn sound, there's a lot of different sounds, but you know, they're pretty synonymous with the Brooklyn sound, you know, when I think back to that era.
All right, no doubt. Vague, who you got from Brooklyn?
I got Easy Mo B.
Nice.
He just did too many joints that I don't think he gets credit for. You know what I'm saying? He did Gimme the Loot, he did Warning, he did Temptations with Tupac. He did Flavor in Your Air, I believe. He did The Points with with everybody on that joint, like Bone
right from
Thugs,
the Panther
Biggie,
soundtrack.
Yeah, he's done, like, I mean, when you go back and you look, like with the Lost Boys situation also, when you go back and you look at what he's done, even he did Call Him Mr. Welfare on Big Daddy Kane's second album. He's been doing it for a minute, you know what I'm saying? And he's been doing it not only with obviously a couple of Brooklyn MCs I mentioned, but he's responsible for a ton of hits. Shit, I didn't even know he did the Busta joint, which is probably my favorite Busta beat of all time. So I just think that alone, just the span of who he's worked with, how it was successful, how they were dope hip hop beats, and the fact that people don't realize it's him versus everybody else out of Brooklyn. I think he deserves props for that. And probably my runner-up would be somebody like DJ Scratch from EP&D.
Right, and that would have been my second as well.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
too.
He did a couple.
The way
of
Mo B
joints that
flips
was
them
crazy.
jazz samples, man.
Yeah.
All right, no doubt. Rel, who you got?
Yo, I had one pick, and it was the beat minus.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like that whole boot camp click, that sound. Like, I mean, of course, they cultivated that, and they're on a like. If you look up their credits, they're on a lot of stuff. Like a lot, like Bahamadia, Mike Geronimo, Smith and Wesson, Black Moon, OGC, OC, Royal Flush, Artifacts. You know what I'm saying? They want a lot of stuff that I like, and I just think I was gonna say Premier, but I wanted to give the B minus some love because I feel like they don't get mentioned as much. But I just remember that era, like the beats on Into the Stage were like amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like all the way through. That's one of the best produced albums to me. So I had to get them their love. So I went with the B minus.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. This is dope. It's half Moby, half beat minus. I'm with Moby. For everything everybody said. When I first started making beats and really started listening to stuff, that snare Warning is one of the hardest snares like ever. It was literally like I remember making beats and being like, "Yo, is this shit as hard as that one? All right, then fuck it, we gotta EQ it." Like that was like the barometer for how hard a snare could be. And Warning, flipping that Isaac Hayes joint. Like Vay said, flavor in your ear. I mean, I understand people think about the remix and they think about Big and everybody else, but I don't think people remember how big the OG flavor in your ear was. You know what I mean? When that dropped, you know what I mean? Which was just crazy. Lex Coops, the Beamers in the Benz. Yo, when that dropped in, I guess, 94, 95 at Morgan, I'm sorry, at any black HBCU, you put that on at a party, everybody was going to lose their mind. That was classic. Microphone Master, what he did for Das Effects, his third album, Hold It Down. He actually did a lot of production on that. The Microphone Master was crazy. And one of my favorite after Warning is going to be the LL Cool J remix for Pink Cookies in a plastic bag getting crushed by buildings, where he flipped the Esther Phillips sample. That was the first time somebody using it. Then after that, Tip went on to use it for Mobb Deep, Give Up the Goods. Primo's going on to use it for whatever for J. Rue the Damager. See, sometimes my brain still works, y'all. So that was just like, but he was the OG person to flip that sample. And I remember I didn't really like Pink Cookies, the original version on 14 Shots, because all it did was just loop up Blind Alley, the same break, the emotion break that Marley used for Kane's Ain't No Half Stepping. And I'm like, damn, we still using the whole Ain't No Half Stepping sample. But when Mo B came with the remix, and then the video was crazy with L and the Beamer going through Queens, he gets the flat, he jumped on the bus, like that was just it for me. So definitely Mo B on that. Tell me this, y'all. Top 3 albums from Brooklyn. What are your top 3 albums from the borough? Porsche, top 3 albums from Brooklyn.
Like, are we gonna do a slept on as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so my top 3. I mean, I'm gonna stick with my 3 MCs that I picked for favorites. So I'm gonna say Ready to Die, Black Album, and Light as a Rock.
All right.
I know there's always this divide between Reasonable Doubt and the Black Album and this and that. I like the Black Album more. I think there's no skippable tracks for me. That's an album I go back to quite often. It's my favorite in Jay's entire catalog. So for me, that's definitely one of my favorites. Light as a Rock, I talk about this album as often as I can on this show. Every song, like MC Lyte just brought it. She brought it every single song. She goes hard. She's consistent. The bars are there. Such a well put together album. I love it. And Ready to Die goes without saying. It's just, classic.
Right.
Love it. Everything about it.
And what's your slept on one?
Black Trash, Autobiography of Kirk Jones.
Really good.
That is, it's just,
Please
It's an
explain to
audio
people
movie.
out there who that is.
It's Sticky.
Yeah. Did you say that? I thought you just said the title of the album.
No, I said Sticky Fingers. This album.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah.
my bad.
That album is a conceptual album. It's got like skits. I'm not somebody who loves skits in albums, but these skits they do exactly what they're supposed to do. They bring out each track. They're perfectly positioned in between. This album is so cohesive. The concept is just like, it plays out from beginning to end, literally like a movie, and it touches on various, like this character who then is sort of in a internal battle with himself and another persona, and then there's all these like weird things that he does, and it's just so I don't know how to describe it. It's an experience. And again, like I said at the beginning, he did follow sort of Prince of Thieves concept and kind of did his own thing with it, but it's phenomenal. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out. I talk about that album very often. I think my entire TL is like, God, like stop talking about that album. I love it, but yes, check it out. It's dope. That's a slept-on joint for me.
No doubt. Elize, who you got for yours?
For my top three, I'm gonna say Ready to Die, The Coming, and The Sunrises in the East.
Nice. Dope.
I typically like darker production, and I feel like those definitely set the mood and tone that I look for when I'm listening to albums. Yeah, Biggie, we could talk about Biggie's album all day, but from start to finish, it's pretty consistent as far as what you're looking for in an album. And I guess with whatever Puff was trying to do, you got Big Papa and Juicy and all that. So, you get those out the way, but the album is consistent down the boards. And I got to say The What, man. The What is like my favorite track on there. The way Mo B flipped that Leroy Hudson joint was crazy. And the fact that you got to listen to the whole record before you hit a flip is like, wow. Like, I don't hear nothing like that. Not anymore. The Sunrises in the East, I mean, I feel like that's one of Primo's like most well-produced albums outside of Gangstar. And J. Rue brought it lyrically. Like, he didn't leave you wanting for anything after the album. And the way he flipped Nautilus and didn't sound like, how everybody else does it either. That was crazy. And The Coming, same thing. Busta had, Mo B on there. He even produced some joints. He produced the Abandoned Ship joint. He even had a early Dilla up there, with the Still Shining. He even brought Leaders of the New School back even after they was beefing and all that. But like, that was a pretty solid album, and it was his breakout because he was actually making the music he wanted to make. And I felt like that was probably a big part of their split. So it was good, to hear Busta go in the direction that he needed to.
All right, no doubt. What's your slept on joint?
That's one I couldn't really think of. I don't even know if this is considered slept on, but I'll just say Do or Die.
Okay.
Easy. So.
All right. No doubt. Ed, what you got for yours?
All right. I got starting with Jizza, Liquid Swords.
Damn,
you
man.
forget, because Wu-Tang rep Staten Island, but there was some Brooklyn cats in Wu. So, Jizza definitely rep Brooklyn. Definitely in his lyrics. I mean, it's just one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. I think between that and obviously Cuban Links are the two Wu solo albums that get mentioned, both cinematic, but I think just the how the scripted Jizza was, and it is a darker album. I just love it. I love the lyricism. I love the production. I just love everything about that album. Then I got Smith and Wesson, The Shining.
Nice.
I mean, it's a damn near perfect album right there. You know, it's another one where if you go to the early boot camp releases, like Black Moon, Enter the Stage versus The Shining, I'm going with The Shining. And I think one of the things for me was the back and forth between Tech and Steel on that, both very dope. Obviously, the production and just so many joints on there, like just an amazing album, beginning to end. And you know, I gotta go with Ready to Die. Um, I don't think Ready to Die is a perfect album, but Ready to Die, I mean, it's just one of those timeless albums, if that makes sense. You know, it's bona fide classic. It's timeless. I mean, it just kind of brings me back to a good place. Brings me back to Brooklyn. I mean, and then you got Biggie just in his bag. Um, um, there's joints on Life After Death I absolutely love, but as a full project, I prefer Ready to Die, beginning to end.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. Veg, what you got?
Man, I had 5 at first, then you switched up, so now it's difficult. But like everybody said, I got Ready to Die, of course. For Biggie, I think it was a album that was highly anticipated by me, that completely lived up to the hype of what I was expecting. Also surprised me in a lot of ways with the versatility of some of the records and some of the subject matter. I kind of expected Give Me the Loot and Things Done Change. Warning was a little bit like, wow, this is almost better than what I was thinking of. And him and Meth on the What. My favorite song off of that album is Everyday Struggle. I mean, there was a point in time back then where I listened to that joint like every day going to high school in Brooklyn. Not because I was in the game or in the streets or none of that. I think it was something about that production on that record, about how Biggie talked about the game in that way. And typically, even today, you get guys who tell tales and they glorify everything, right? They're the ultimate drug dealer. They're getting coke from here. They're the coke masters. You know what I'm saying? Everything is coke, coke, coke. These niggas, they wasn't getting coke like that. You know what I'm saying? They was selling crack and weed. That's it.
Right.
They sell it, they float the coke in from the. Come on, man. But with Big though, with Everyday Struggle, it was like what he's saying. I could go outside right now and see what he's saying. I could talk to my man who does it and feel like, oh, Big's talking to people like you. The going out of town part, you hear that all the time now. Yo, we OT, blah blah blah. But Big really put imagery on it. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't something that wasn't happening. You hear it in New York stories from like, Alpo and people like that, of people going to different places to hustle. But, you know what I'm saying, 6 months later, all the dead bodies showing up. Like, that's real. You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like Big just put out an album that a lot of people can relate to, even if his stories wasn't your stories. So it's definitely one of the best out of Brooklyn. Another one being Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, which originally when it came out, I was really disappointed in the production because I felt like the at that time was a little bit more aggressive in hip hop because it was out around the same time, and you hear the production on there and it's just bigger and better and more in your face. And Jay-Z's production almost felt really subdued. But over time, obviously the lyrics and everything about that album is really the lyrics that make the beats better for you. Like my favorite track over there is usually not a track that most people would say. My favorite track is Politics as Usual. I just love the whole vibe of the way Jay-Z spitting over that beat. It's just not a beat. It's a beat I would turn down. Like, yo, what's trying to give me this motherfucking Three's Company beat? Like, you know what I'm saying? What is this? But Jay just made that shit so for young cats. That's a show with a couple white people from back in the days on it. I just want to let you know, Regal Beagle and all of that. But I just kind of felt like with that album, it made me separate Jay-Z from Biggie, from Nas, from other rappers, because he really kind of embodied the whole hustler side of it. You know what I'm saying? Not from a hand-to-hand dude. Like if Big was Avon Barksdale from The Wire, Jay-Z was Stringer Bell, and that's how those albums sound. You know what I'm saying? Like one guy has specific goals to, fight his way out, and another dude is gonna work his way out and network and do things like that to be much bigger than, the biggest drug dealer or whatever, or the biggest hustler. And my third joint, which, damn, I think I just lost it, but it's in my head. Black Moon, Into the Stage. What I like most about that was another album that was like a soundtrack for me. The production and Buckshot's rhyming style. I just felt like the production was just so loud and hard hitting, and like it was nothing I had never heard before. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't compare it to anything, and it was just different. Even with like having songs like "Who Got the Props," we got the jazz sample in there, to How Many MCs, and then he followed it up with the different remixes for joints like Buck 'Em Down remix. You know what I'm saying? It was just a really dope album, well put together, and Buckshot was just really, stamped his flag, as an MC back then, when a lot of people were coming out and doing things different. And I just felt like it was such a unique sound, that it just it made a real big impression on me as a young cat that was coming up back then. So those are my three.
All right, now what's your slept on joint?
Slept on, what did I have? I had GZA. It's a more recent album, GZA Pro Tools. It came out maybe, I guess, 2010 sometime. I can't remember exactly. But I had kind of stopped checking for GZA because, like, obviously Liquid Swords, I was all on his album. Beneath the Surface, I was kind of with, and then I kind of fell off from there because I started to feel like he was doing some of the things that he did on Liquid Swords, but not really in this. Lyrically, he was always sharp, but I just felt like the albums were starting to blend together. But I remember somebody told me, like, oh, you should check out GZA's new album, Pro Tools. And I was just thinking, like, I'm thinking nostalgia, I'm thinking Liquid Swords. So I went to listen to it, not expecting anything, because the Wu had kind of really fell down a little bit, and it was really only Ghost that was putting out dope stuff. And listening to that album, I was like, wow, this is like, RZA's all on it, and I'm like, yo, this is like that Wu shit that we fell in love with. You know what I'm saying? But this is years later with this Pro Tools album, and I just kind of feel like, for as much love as GZA gets, it's really all the talk is usually about Liquid Swords, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's never really about any of his other albums, and I feel like for a current album, a more current album, for him to put something out like that was dope. I was a fan of it right away as soon as I heard it. I just couldn't believe it was that good at that time in hip hop. So that was my slept on.
All right, what you got, Rel?
I had 5, and almost all of them got said, but I'll do 3. So Reasonable Doubt is one. I feel like I agree with Vague. When it first came out, it kind of like got better over time with me. And Jay was really spit some shit on there. Politics as Usual is crazy. The Evils. He was spitting some shit on there, so I think that's one of them. I'm probably gonna get flack for this one, but I'm gonna put Life After Death instead of Ready to Die. I think because of like now, like if I listen to that one more than I listen to Ready to Die, like now, you know what I'm saying? Like it's stuff on Life After Death that like hasn't aged. Like Long Kiss Goodnight haven't aged to me. Like whenever I hear it, I just go crazy. So I put Life After Death, and my third one, I had Liquid Swords, Into the Stage, but I'm gonna do the Black Star album. Even though one of the members like, gets on my nerves currently, but it was
Which one is that?
yes. So yeah, but that album, there's no skips on that album for me. Very well produced, real good lyrics on that album. I really like it. And yeah, no skips, so it got to go up there for me. And his slept on album for me is Heavy Mental, Killer Priest, first album. I really love that album. Really love that album. You know, lyrics was crazy on there. It was a little, you know, different for the casual hip hop fan, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it was a really good album. Good production, really good subject matter, and I think he did a really good job on there. And it's some songs on there that were amazing to me. Like he was really, really in his bag in that album, and I really like that album. I still play it to this day. So that's my picks.
All right, no doubt. For me, I got Reasonable Doubt, Kane's second joint. It's a Big Daddy thing, and of course, Ready to Die. No reason to belabor it. You all said, you know, while all three are dope. Again, it's a Big Daddy thing to me. I think I took that over Long Live the Kane just because Long Live the Kane, a lot of those albums that came out in '88 were almost like compilations to me because we had heard all the 12-inch singles all those years. So usually by the time you got to the album in '88, you had already heard 80% of the album. You know what I mean? Whereas it's a Big Daddy thing to me was kind of like there from the door. Slept on, I got Master Ace's debut album, Take a Look Around. It's amazing to me. There's so many people that I know who are like hip hop heads, like, yo, I never even heard that album, which is crazy to me. It's produced by Marley, 1989, 90. Marley, you know, Aces in his bag. And the other Slept On album I have is MOP's second album, Firing Squad. The first time they got down with Primo, Brownsville, New Jack City, Stick to Your Guns with Cool G Rap. Just crazy album. Tell me this, y'all. Out of all boroughs in New York, we include Long Island. If Grant was here, I'll include upstate, Mount Vernon, and Yonkers. Where does Brooklyn rank as the dopest borough in New York City? Porsche, where do you have Brooklyn?
Well, like in terms of what though? Like MCs, producers,
like,
all of
yeah,
it. Like
who has the dopest MCs? Who has the dopest MCs?
Oh, I mean, Big's my favorite. I want to say it's up there, like top 2 for sure. I think I would only edge maybe Queens over that.
Right, so and I'd have at number 2.
Well, like yes, with an asterisk, because I have to like go through all of the rappers and then come to a like, you know, but just off the top, yeah, I would say like it's like a hairline under Queens right now.
All right, no doubt. Elizé, what you got?
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier. I would definitely probably say 1 or 2. It's debatable with Queens. I was thinking about every MC. I'm like, okay, what MCs do I know from each borough? And I was just like, okay, yeah. But Brooklyn is definitely up there. I'm gonna say 2 because I like Queens more.
All right, 2. Eddie, what you got?
Damn, like I feel like I'm going with Brooklyn. Like it's right there with Queens, and some of my favorite MCs are from Queens, like Nas and Pharoah. But exactly I feel like Brooklyn. Exactly. I feel like Brooklyn has more depth, and you know, you could go down the line. Like you could name MCs, like, you know, you got the Jizzas, you got the J. Rues, then you got, you know, everyone in boot camp. You got you know, Biggie, you got Jay. I feel like Biggie, Brooklyn gets it for the depth and no lacking in dopeness and all that. I mean, and so many different lanes, because you can even go the Mohsen Kweli route, you know. So that's why it gets it for me.
All right, Veg, do I need to even ask you, or I can just keep going? All right. Cool. Rel.
No. Let me talk. Let me talk my shit. Hold up. First of all, obviously, I'm going to say Brooklyn. Of course. Brooklyn, but that's how we do it in New York anyway. We battle all the stuff. But I do agree, Queens is. If somebody said Queens first, I wouldn't really even debate him because you talking about Run, LL, Nas, Cool G Rap. We ain't even scratched the surface yet, but we got the ladies though. We got Foxy, we
Facts.
got Jean Grey, we got MC Light,
Kim.
we got Kim. You know what I'm saying? We got
That's
some
true.
legendary ladies
Facts.
in the game. Not too many boroughs can say that. You know what I'm saying? So,
True.
but yeah, you know, obviously it's BK all day. You know, whatever, man. I don't care. I've been in Queensbridge all my life, but fuck that. It's BK.
All right, bro. Where you got? Where you got Brooklyn ranked?
I got Brooklyn number 2. I got Queens number 1. Queen, like a lot of my favorite rappers from Queens. So, I mean, I'm kind of like just biased. I got Queens number 1. And Brooklyn number 2 is real close though. But when I think to like my favorite rappers, it's like there's a lot of Queens, Nas, Mob. You know, there's a lot of Queens, L. You know what I'm saying? So it's really close though. It's really close, but I'll say Queens number 1 and Brooklyn number 2. Sorry, Vig.
We split again down the middle. Queens half is Brooklyn. I go with Brooklyn. I agree with both what Ed and Veg said. Veg, the whole point about the female MCs, and Eddie with the depth. You know, I think Queens got a lot of great MCs, but there's so many dope MCs from Brooklyn. I mean, so many dope MCs that we didn't even name. Like,
Facts.
Queens is my number 2, but after you get about past the first 5 or 6, you start dipping down a little bit. Whereas I feel like with Brooklyn, you can name 6 and not even name J. Group. You can go 8 and not even name AZ. You can go 10 and not even name Still. You know,
Sean
you go
Price.
12 and not even name Sean P. Like after you name about 4 or 5 in Queens, we're gonna start dipping in the water, you know, to like, I don't want to start naming no names and piss nobody off, but we're gonna start going a little light. So yeah, I go with Brooklyn for the depth. Bae,
True.
play a tour guide for us. I'm coming to Brooklyn, got a hotel for the weekend. After there's no COVID, you know, after I come from the Barclays game, where am I going to get something to eat? Where's the sports bar I'm hitting up?
We're gonna have to hop in the DeLorean, man, because I don't know these organic ass spots in Bed-Stuy. We're gonna have to go back. You know what I'm saying?
Well, tell me this. Let's talk about that. How different is Brooklyn now? Because you live in Jersey now, but I haven't lived in Philly since '92 when I left for Morgan. But all the 5 cheesesteak spots I always tell people about, they still where they were when I left in '92. You know what I mean? Like, if I say go down Jim's down South Street, that shit been there since I was in high school. So talk about how much has Brooklyn changed since you went away to Morgan in what, 94?
Yeah, the thing is like with, obviously I'm from Bed-Stuy, not obviously, but I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and they're different parts of the borough, you know what I'm saying? And I'm really only speaking from the perspective of where the Barclay is, Fulton Street, Ivy Square Mall, like those areas. And those areas have been heavily gentrified. The Barclay, I can't say it was just the Barclay because obviously that was going to happen in that area because they already had built a shopping center before the Barclay even got there in that area. But when you go to Fulton Street, where, you know, record stores that used to be there like Beach Street, and everybody get their sneakers, their jewelry, their clothes. That is not the same place now. It's literally like being at a mini mall somewhere else where you got the usual spots like GameStop and Gap, and you know, maybe there's Jimmy Jazz is still there or something like that. But for the most part, it's a thing where even when you look at that area, like my barbershop used to be in the downtown area. You know what I'm saying? Black owned. It ain't there no more. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of difficult because where I am. So I'm pretty sure there are other parts of Brooklyn that weren't gentrified. It's just that section of Bed-Stuy being close to Manhattan, having an arena down there, basically being prime real estate for, you know, tourism and for people to move down there. So a lot, a lot has changed. I mean, I don't even think there's. Okay, I'll give you another example that's within the same area, right? Since we're talking about Biggie, I went to a comedy show, right? Obviously, predominantly black comics and black people in there, but this is around where Biggie used to live. So I figured, oh, they got a comedy show. But when I'm walking there, yo, it's not looking. You're not thinking like, oh, I'm going where Big used to walk. Nah, man, you going where Mac Miller, rest in peace, or not even Mac Miller. What's the other dude? I forget, the dude with the tattoos on his face. Basically, it's a totally different version of that version of Brooklyn, but most of those black people are kind of still there because they still live in that area. So it's kind of a give and take, because like my neighborhood, the last time I was around there, it wasn't gentrified, but it was, that gentrification is like 2 or 3 blocks away, and that never was. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just was never like that. So I'm sure there's spots you can still go to, but as far as speaking from the area I'm from, it's difficult to say. I mean, I would tell you, after the Barclays, go to Juniors. That's still there. So that's probably one of the only things that's still, there. But they try to get rid of that also. So
The crazy thing is they got a Juniors and the Barclays. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's the wild part. When I came from a game, and I'm like, fuck, they got Buffalo Wild Wings out here in Brooklyn? Like, you know what I mean? So I definitely understand what you're saying as far as, that's what I used to love about Brooklyn. You didn't have the Applebee's and all the, the trendy restaurants. You had your own spots. You had your own things going on. But yeah, so even when you go back, you don't even know where to go, really, almost.
Yeah, it's like there was a point at one time in that area of Brooklyn, the Fulton Street area, where there was also like some black-owned lounges. Like, there was one spot called Night of the Cookers that I used to go to because they had some really good food and they had like live music. And it appears in, what's that movie about with Tay Diggs and the rapping joint?
Brown sugar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With the rapping Dalmatians, when they come inside the restaurant, that's Night of the Cookers. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That was a spot like everybody would go to. And this wasn't necessarily gentrified Brooklyn. This was just like a better, more safer version of Brooklyn, but that was still black. There was also a spot over there called Brooklyn Moon, I believe, which, also same thing, a lounge. You would see celebrities in there that lived in the neighborhood, mostly black celebrities that you would see in there. So there's different spots that I know to go to, but like you said, it's not something I would say, oh, this is unique to Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only, or even New York, because there was times where in those areas I could tell you what pizza shop to go to. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, don't go to that one, go to Ray's. You know what I'm saying? Those still exist, but they're not everywhere like they used to be, especially downtown Brooklyn. So I'd probably be telling you, like, yo, Kill, they got a good vegan spot over here. Go there, get the fucking paper with the oil on top.
Right.
There's nothing, bro. Like, there's nothing left but memories. That's all.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that's heartbreaking to hear too. You know what I mean? Because like I said, not being in Philly since 92, all 5 of my spots are still the same. The barbershops I was sending you to, still the same. You know what I mean? But I don't know, maybe gentrification just ain't got to my area yet to start, wreaking havoc.
I'll give you one reason why I thought about this before they actually did it. Because the gentrification was really slow the way it happened, because it was like blended, because that area had already came up a little bit anyway. But when 9/11 happened, white people get the fuck out of Lower Manhattan. Brooklyn is right across the bridge, and it felt like people left there and came to Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? It became like the spot to be, like, oh, this is the spot. And basically moved out all of the people who lived in these neighborhoods. It's not all people who lived in the projects. You know what I'm saying? Some people lived in brownstones and, these spots that, would be attractive to someone who has money to pay for it and build it up and build the neighborhood up. So
Right.
it's sad, but it happens.
Right. Just part of the game. All right, no doubt. Elizé, tell us a little bit about what you're working on. The album, is it coming? What do you have cooking up on your end, miss? And where can they get at you to hear your music and everything like that?
Well, where should I start? I'm sorry, I'm burnt out. I've been working.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, work has had occupied my time most of the time. I worked almost 3 weeks straight. But right now I'm working on this EP with YU. Diamond District in 1978 is. I got a couple features coming. I'm kind of like all over the place. I'm a painter too. I'm a painter first, actually. So I just recently painted this mural in Wilmington, Delaware, of Alua Toyin. So allowed the young girl who got she was murdered down in Tallahassee, Florida. She was a Black Lives Matter protester, and so I just wanted to highlight her and other Black women and girls we've lost.
Beautiful.
So thank you. So that was my most recent project. I finished that back in August on her birthday. That's buzzed a little bit. But right now I'm just selling like merchandise.
Okay.
I have a website up. It's elizofficial.com. Pretty much t-shirts, hoodies. I have CDs of my EP pieces I dropped last year. They're all signed by me. These beanies. This is the hoodie. I'm sorry. Also art prints of work I've done in the past too. The music's coming. It's just work has been in the way. I don't have a set date or time, but I'm hoping before the year's out.
All right. What about social media? What's your Twitter and IG and everything?
Twitter is Elizé_official. Instagram is e.lizeofficial. It's been hard to just get the same username, but it's pretty much Elizé official, just different variations of ELIZE official. So
All right, no doubt. Vague, tell them where they can get at you, good brother.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Vegas World INC. Oh, hold up, it's right there. Also, you can check out my podcast, Hip Hop Now Podcast, available wherever you got podcasts. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is type in the words Hip Hop Now Podcast, and you'll be locked in talking about hip hop news on a weekly basis. Also, I got other podcasts or whatever that's on the same stream, but I do got music on the way. I don't be rapping all the time. Like Elizé, brother got to work, got a house to pay for, and all that good stuff. So, but I put out a collection of some loose joints that I had just kind of floating around, just put them on a project called Off the Grid. So check that out. It even has a snippet of a track that me and DJ Rec did called The Set. Most likely we'll let you hear that soon. Also, working on something with Kill for probably in the spring or summer of 2021. Something new, no features. Don't worry, I got y'all. But that's it. So you can check out my music at vegasworldinc.bandcamp.com.
All right, no doubt. Ed, give him everything, good brother.
Hey, Kill, I thought we were going to do the Brooklyn anthems.
Bruh, you talk about Elizé talking about she burnt out, bruh. My teen center had a flood. I done moved 2 teen centers, bruh. My brain is on E. Good looking. I apologize. What if you think about Brooklyn, and if Brooklyn had to have a theme song, what is your theme song for Brooklyn? What is the first song that's gonna come to mind? Is it Brooklyn's Finest? Is it I Let It Go? Is it a big joint? Is it Kane? What is it for me off the bat? When I think of Brooklyn, I will always think of Audio 2's Top Billin'. I don't think there's another song that could ever take the place of repping Brooklyn for me. Other than that, Elizé and I spoke about that earlier. I know you had the same one. You want to speak on Top Billin'?
Yeah, I mean, when that break drop, it's like, and you get a chance. I mean, it's like, I mean, what else can you say? Like,
Yeah.
there's really nothing else. I mean, they've done anthems over the course of the years, but it's not gonna get the same reaction as Top Billin'.
And that's crazy to me because Elizé, you said you're 26.
Yes, sir.
I'm 46. That's a 20-year difference for y'all slow-mos out there. So it's amazing to me that somebody 26 is saying Top Billin', somebody 46 is saying Top Billin'. That's the importance of Top Billin', because there's a lot of people who have no idea who the Audio 2 is. I've heard so much shit this week from young folk. They call him Peace President, the Benny Drums. I give up. I give up on you. Like, when you start calling the President, like, the Benny Drums.
The Benny Drums. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, so again, wow. I salute you for even knowing what Top Billin' even is, because there's a 26-year-old who has no idea what I'm even talking about, you know.
Right. Well, I feel like if you're gonna be part of the culture, you need to study it. Point blank, period. You can't be involved and not know what the fuck going on.
I salute
like
you for
said,
that.
Appreciate it. Like, people talk about Dilla all day, don't know who Slum Village is.
Right.
And I'm just like,
oh my God.
I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I feel you. Porsche, what you got?
Brooklyn. I still got a long ways to go. So,
what you got, Porsche?
I got Brooklyn We Go Hard by Jay and Santigold. Okay. Love that track. Everything about it. I mean, Jay is just on point. There's like 10,000 quotables in that. He's one of the most quotable rappers of all time. I mean, Santigold is the perfect compliment for that. The energy in the song is just brilliant. Like, it's just, that's Brooklyn to me. So.
Right. That's dope. You're 100% right on the quotables. One of my favorite Jay quotables is in that the whole I jack, I rob, I sin, I'm in, like Jackie Robinson, but when I steal bass, I dodge the pen.
Listen,
crazy.
Jay is just unbelievable.
He snapped on that. He snapped on that.
He did. He is really, that song is just,
And nobody talks about it for the most part, which is crazy to me, but I love Brooklyn Go Hard. Ed, what you got for your borough?
Yo, I got Crooklyn Dodgers, the original.
Okay.
And you know, I mean, when you have three of the dopest MCs, if not some of the most slept on, right? You got Buckshot, Master Ace, Special Ed, and they were all spitting. They were all coming with bars. They were all, you know, bigging up the borough. But the fact that they three came together, formed kind of a group for that song, but they were going back and forth like they've been spitting together for years. You know, the chemistry was incredible. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer the original to the remix or the part two rather, on Clockers that Premier did, is that you could feel the chemistry more on that one. And with the beat and you know, the whole Brooklyn Dodgers, you know, audio that they sampled, you know, the hook, Brooklyn's the borough. I mean, I guess the only thing about it is, you know, Q-Tip did the beat and he's not from Brooklyn, but I mean, you know, there's nothing else to complain about.
Primo did the beat on the second one, and he ain't from Brooklyn, so.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? But I agree with you. I always felt like, yo, Tip, I love this beat, but damn, how you gonna get a Queens nigga to do a Brooklyn track? Like, isn't that like cheating, Spike? But I definitely feel you on that. Vay, what you got for it?
Well, I got one, but then I thought about another one, so maybe that'd be my follow-up. To me, it's Who Shot You. When that would come on in the club and the DJ, like, is Brooklyn in this motherfucker? I don't give a fuck if we was at Morgan or in Brooklyn. Part ways, somebody might get fucked up on the dance floor. I know people think you go to parties just to dance. I did. But a lot of times when they play records like Who Shot You, if you from a hood, it just came out. You something about that beat, the way Big was spitting on that record. It just was so Brooklyn to me, you know what I'm saying? And obviously I love Top Billin', but that came out when I was a kid, so that was a whole different vibe of you know, being proud of your borough to have an anthem like that. But when Who Shot You came out, that was like, man, I'm about to fuck niggas up for my borough, which is a whole nother thing. And my follow-up would be Annie Up, because if you listen to any records in hip-hop, anytime they mention Brooklyn, what do they usually say about Brooklyn? You know what I'm saying? Brooklyn got the gat. Brooklyn keep on taking it. I mean, even on records like Pharoah Monch's
Internal Affairs.
Yeah, yo, Uptown, what up, bro? What up? That joint. Look how he say Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So songs like Annie Up and Who Shot You represented the way most of us Brooklynites act when we go somewhere, and the saying is we're everywhere, and it's true. But those records to me kind of personified, you know, what Brooklyn was, especially from those MCs and how they spit it.
Right. It's funny you say that, Veg, because it's the exact same thing. And are we 4 years apart or 2 years apart? I'm 46.
I'm 43.
Okay. Fuck, I can't add. I'm talking about
3.
slow-mo people.
That's 3
Thank
years.
you. Thank you. This is
That's 3 years, Kelly. That's 3.
Right. I know it's bad. It's getting bad at 46. And y'all get to watch me deteriorate right in front of y'all every week. But the crazy thing is that the same way you feel about Who Shot You and Annie Up, that was the top billing, and especially Go Stetson 1 from Stetson Sonic, because when those shits used to come on, you know what I mean? And I was reading this book about the Latin Quarters. They was like, yo, Go Stetson 1 comes on, you better just fucking leave, because everybody's getting robbed. And if you hear Top Billin' come on in Latin Quarters, just Brooklyn is coming out, they robbing everybody. So just it's funny that like kind of like even in a 3-year span, like you know, there's new songs to get robbed to from Brooklyn. Like, you know, Top Billin' and Go Stetson was a certain era, you got robbed to those songs. Now you're saying, okay, if Who Shot You or Annie Up came on, you better leave the floor too. So, you know what I mean? Just Brooklyn keeps on taking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I didn't rob nobody, by the way. Just want to let that know.
that's definitely what Brooklyn is known for. Rel, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Jay-Z, where I'm from. He was in his bag on that one, man, and that was like grit. That was a gritty song, man, and it was real descriptive of, you know, just him describing Brooklyn and where he was from. I think just with the beat and everything, like that song just epitomizes Brooklyn to me. And it sticks out on that album. Like, it's really no songs on that album that gritty. You know what I'm saying? That's a really gritty song, and Brooklyn is known for being gritty. So I think that's a good Brooklyn anthem. Where I'm from, Jay-Z.
Very dope pick. It's funny. One of my white coworkers was like, "Yo, like, how is it growing up in the hood?" And I just played them where I'm from. Like, there you go.
Man, what?
You can't put your nuts away. You know, boosters in abundance, buy half price sweater new. Like, that's just that. Right. Jay could explain to you better than I can.
He was so descriptive on that, man. Like, you can actually see it, like what he was talking about. Like, he did a really good job of just being descriptive on that song.
Yeah, definitely. Bro, where can they get at you on Twitter, IG, all that good stuff?
Twitter is jben215, and Instagram Uptown JBen. That's me on platforms. You know what I'm saying?
All right, no doubt. Eddie, where can they get at you, good brother?
On Twitter at EddieD80 and on Instagram at Eddie Got Soul.
All right, Porsche. She likes Troy. She doesn't like Drake. Very simple.
You gotta stop saying this. This
Very
is a running
simple
joke of Apartment 5B. On Twitter at Cherchez La Porsche.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
On Twitter at Cherchez La Porsche. That's it. And it's a boring TL. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know if your TL is boring, but okay.
No.
Y'all know.
Y'all be live.
I got the
y'all be live.
account back, the Kill 889 account back. So that's Twitter and IG. Me and Jalen Musa Survive the Times EP. All the money proceeds are going to the surviving families of Hurricane Laura. So go check that out. Y'all know I'm a bookworm. Just finished this right here, Lenny Kravitz. For people who I said on the TL that Lenny Kravitz was my favorite artist walking the planet Earth, and people act like I lost my mind. I love Lenny Kravitz. Been a fan since I was 15. I'm 46. It's a long ass time. This man has been putting out hits. This guy's a rock legend, god, whatever you want to call him. Very dope read. So that's it. I will check y'all next week, y'all. I appreciate the hell of it.
Vegas, did you mention your t-shirt? Where's Veg?
Did I mention it?
Yeah, did you mention you're on T
Yeah,
Public now, right?
Yeah, I did all
Where
that.
can they cop them?
You can just follow me on Twitter at Vegas World INC and hit me up. I'll send you a link.
Listen, okay, it's T Public, isn't it? This is already my like t-shirt apparel addiction site, and now Vegas is on there. So, you know, it is what it is. Every time I think I'm like moving past it, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm logging in. It's all good. So I just want to put that out there.
Purchase something off of there. It's not paying for my house. I got money. It's going right back into the podcast. I just want to let y'all know the production of the podcast.
Awesome.
Hey, good brother, guess what? If it was going to your house, that's good too.
That's good too.
That's good
well,
too.
yeah.
You know, when folk want to support, hey, if you get support, you get the support. It don't matter where it goes, just as long as you keep giving us dope content. All right, y'all. I will check y'all all next week, y'all.
See ya.
Peace.